Hey everybody, welcome to Beauty for Ashes Living. Today I will be talking about widowhood on that first year. And the first thing I can tell you is that you take it one day at a time, which is a standard answer. But it was with an understanding that God takes care of his widows, and that was me. It's a special category. In my case, too, it's proven from the start to be true to me. Also, I'll offer some of my suggestions from my experience on the practical ways of getting through a rocky road. So let's start with those Bible verses. The first one I had was Jeremiah 49:11. It says, "Leave your fatherless children, I will keep them alive. Your widows too can depend on me." Exodus 22 through 24, my favorite. "Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me at all, I will certainly hear their cry, and my anger will be aroused, and I will kill you myself with the sword. And your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless." Woof! You don't want to mess with widows. Yeah. So, amen. So the Lord keeps a special eye on us, and every point of our struggle is really important to him. Now, I have to say that everyone is in a different situation, widows and widowers. Sometimes children are involved. There are just any number of scenarios. A loss of someone in the military, difficult situations all, and different people too. And so we're all going to have different experiences, and I'm basically just telling you what mine is. But that's why they say grief has no rules, and it's true. You go at your own pace pretty much. Allow it to take its own course with God's help. But even though grief has no rules, I do have to say that I got some standard bits of advice, and I would like to turn around and share them with you because I did find them to be true and useful and sometimes even indispensable. Let me tell you, I was keeping in mind what God felt about widows, and so I proceeded with that assumption that I was going to get help at every corner, and I signed up. I stayed sensitive to every little blessing. Not only did it help me survive emotionally, but it was my lifeline. Everything that you can be thankful for, try to be thankful for it. And when I did that, I was really able to see God intervene in a lot of places. And today I'm talking about the practical things, as practical as they can be. But I'm talking about in all directions: health, finances, not to mention closing up affairs, wills, death certificates, donor cards, signing this and getting that. And, there was just so much going on, but at every single turn, things worked out in a timely manner, and they worked out as best as they could. And it went that way with everything, and it still does. Problems come up still today for just life, but he has those covered. Well, let me tell you, he had these covered when I really needed to be covered. I needed the help and the support. I needed things to go right. I needed to be able to bear up under the things that didn't. And those were times when he really helped me, and I got such a sense of that it brought me a lot of comfort. And it will help all of us that are in this spot to get through the days, the weeks, the month, just to be aware that his hand is in your life right now. And I had to say that before I started the practical steps, because it's important to hang on to them as you go through these things. And there's no good way or no good answer, no good description about how to do that, because you're going to have your own unique challenges, day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour, that you can bring to him. And you got to do them one at a time and let him heal them over, or put them on a shelf, or give you peace about them. It's really important to stay in tune to God, and you'll be blessed that you do. So starting my list to begin with, after the initial shock, maybe a few days to a weekend where you can start eating again and get up and walk around the room. I found that the first thing that I actually appreciated was busy work. And as stressful as some of those were, they needed to be done, and they made me go to task. And I'm talking about things like getting the death certificate and getting the first day they called me about his cornea donation, organ donation, whatever it was. I said, "You got to be kidding me." And they said, "No, we're sorry, but we have to harvest them, or they won't be any good. We have to talk to you now." God bless them. But the things that you have to deal with. But I'm telling you, it kept my chin above water somehow, because I had to. So, and I'm talking about the wills, the closing of accounts, the paperwork, and then more paperwork. And more phone calls, figuring out my finances, the sale of things. Then I had to post things on Facebook for family and friends, because everybody was out of state. I had to rearrange my house, start sorting things. It was constant and it was emotional, but it needed to be done. And so in retrospect, I was grateful for the distraction. I know that sounds strange, but that's how it felt after a while. Anything to distract you from sitting there going, "What happened?" It's a rough road. But when you can get through, I'm just telling you these things because I want you to know that I understand. Another thing that I learned that was really, really important, and it remains important today, is to start right off the bat with boundaries. And boundaries is that people see you suffering and they want to help. But nobody understands what this is like unless they've been through it. And they're going to try and tell you what to do or how you should feel by now. You need to really get a hold of it and listen to yourself, because only you know what's happening. And you get that sense that people just don't understand. I know I never would have been able to understand losing your partner, losing your husband, and what that puts you through until you go through it. It's just one of those things. God bless the people that try to help, but you need to let them know that you're going to be making the last decisions, and you'll ask for their opinion if you need one. So, and they understand. Sometimes I think they're even relieved, because it's uncomfortable for them to, to see you suffer. But there are going to be people that are going to try and do that. And so keep that in mind, and it'll pay off in the end, because what you really want to do is get alone with God and figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's a very special season, and it's one that we need to pay attention to and make room for. I really felt like, though, that there were people that I could trust. either people that had gone through what I was going through, or that just I knew would be dependable and wouldn't push and would take my lead. Another situation that I found helpful was letting people know what you're going through. I didn't exactly want to have widow tacked to everything that I did, but there were times when letting them know what was going on and why I was in such a jam and why I needed to know what I needed to know, especially on the phone with things. And they were immediately more sensitive to my situation and were happy to help. Either they had been through it or their mother had been through it. Something they could relate, and they knew that it was difficult and you needed help, and you do. Let them help you. This can include neighbors and friends and family. Let them help if it helps you. Let them carry a bit of the load. Most people are happy to do the simple things for you just to make your day. They are glad that they're not in your shoes. But if they can lighten up your load in any way, they will, and they mean the best. I have to tell you that I never thought the situation would end up like this, but post-COVID was strange in that you saw so many people not able to have final arrangements or funerals, and things were postponed. And with that understanding of the culture at the time, I took advantage of it. It took me 2 years to get everything done. It was 2 months after his passing that I planned to go fly to his state with the ashes and do the do and, visit with family and, have that moment and everything else. And, to tell you the truth, I was so worn out, so in shock. I felt so ill from months of caregiving with no sleep that I just couldn't face it. I couldn't do it. So I got brave and I put it off. Instead, I posted pictures and videos every week for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I decided to go ahead and make a 1.5 hour video that started from his baby pictures to his school pictures to when he was a rebel to when I met him to all our time together. And that's how I put it off, because I understood it was important to family. And the ashes got scattered at his favorite fishing hole, but it actually took 1.5 years to do it. And the family was happy to gather at that location then. And it was beautiful. And I did those things, and I did them the way that I wanted to, and I felt good about and ready to do for my husband and I, for our sakes, to honor us both. And that's how I did what I did. And so I know we need to consider family members, we really do, but when it comes down to it, go at the speed that you want to go and honor your husband. That needs to be top priority, and yourself and your relationship with him. And let those who want to plan around that somehow. It's an important thing to do. It's an important thing to make that moment in time just for you and him. So that's another thing that really helped me out, is to just use my freedom to choose what to do through the boundaries that I set, so that I know I did things right and I have no regrets there. Another thing I ran into was everybody wants to know what you're going to do next. Now, I had heard that the best thing that you can do is not do anything for at least 6 months. don't make any big moves or any big changes or get into any relationships or move to another state. Or don't do anything for 6 months, because you really need to give yourself an opportunity to know what you want. Let the dust settle. Now, that doesn't mean you can't check things out. I actually went home to see if my mother was an option in the state that she lived in. I went to my sisters. I went to my in-laws, all out for visiting purposes. But I got the idea that this isn't what I wanted, and the reason was because if I was there, I would always be reminded that I had to go there because now I'm a widow and I had to have a place to go, and so that's why I live there now. I didn't want that label. I wanted to start fresh and new, and so I decided to stay put. And as long as you can financially do it, keep that option in mind, because it helps you to move forward. Our loved ones are gone. They're in heaven and they're in the presence of God. They're doing okay. What we need to do is to pick up and live for God ourselves until we get to go home. We'll see them. But we need to glorify God in our lives by letting Him bless us and make us new again and heal our broken hearts, so that we can actually give glory to Him. He deserves it, let me tell you, coming out the other end of this thing. Whew. Anyway, one of the next things that I had to deal with was something like hypochondria. When you've lost somebody and you're grieving the way you do, you don't really feel good. And you always hear, oh my gosh, there are some people that, 6 months after their husband or their wife are passed on, they do too. So there's all kinds of possibilities that something's wrong with you. And then you add to that whatever it is that you watched your loved one who passed away go through. And you're going to wonder if your time is coming up pretty quick. Everything that kind of doesn't feel right, you want to wonder if something's going on. And for me, it was even harder because my husband was only 3 weeks older than me. And he died of cancer. So why should I be protected from it? None of us are. None of us know when our time is up. But when it came to health and it came to my concerns for it and how I was physically feeling and the frightfulness I felt of what I had just seen and gone through, I was a little worried. And I don't know if y'all go through that, but what I did to counteract it was I went and got myself checked out. I checked all the boxes. Is my heart okay? Is my sugar okay? I've never had a problem with sugar, but what the heck? Am I getting enough oxygen? Am I, I had scans and I had, pains and, and I just got it all checked out, and God bless my doctor. She was, sympathetic, and she wanted to make sure I was okay too. But that's something that you can do. And so another thing that you can do, and I'm going to say this, when I say try, what I mean is that I know it's impossible sometimes to do the best thing, but just put forth an effort. And put forth an effort to do what? To eat right, or to eat at all. If your neighbors make you a meal, eat it, use it. I sure did. I wouldn't have eaten the first few days if someone hadn't done that for me. But I continued to get meals here and there. And when I didn't, I did my best to get a little bit of protein. I had a little bit of an ice cream problem there for a while, but I reined it in. And I started to get smart and to eat right if I can, because it'll actually affect your mood if you get too much of that comfort food in you. I took the vitamins. I just, after a week, I just started getting back into that. Take the vitamins because you're not eating right. So make sure you're getting the nutrients that you need for the long haul, because you need to be able to live through this somehow and come out of it functioning. So that was important for me. Another thing is hydration. Just do it. I don't care what liquid you drink, just drink some liquids. I used to like doing the bouillon cubes because they were hot and, comforting. But I was getting the liquid in. And, cold drinks or a coffee or whatever. I don't care. It's liquid. Just make sure you get some of it in there. And sleep. I tried to keep regular hours, but it's kind of impossible to do that. What I did do, though, is if I wanted to sleep, I slept. You're recovering from something that's been really hard on your body, and you need that sleep. So take your physical cues there and do it. I didn't have to continue to work. I had already retired, and that is why I was able to caregive my husband when he was, ill. But you need to squeeze that in. I guess the best thing I can say to round the whole idea up is just try to maintain some sort of healthy lifestyle, or try to add health to your day-to-day, because you're going to need it. We need to try to maintain as best as we can, and not only will we last longer, but we'll feel better along the way. And that's really important, to just try and avoid anything that's going to make you feel any worse than you already do. I also did a lot of quiet time. I took long walks, and I talked to my husband, and I talked to God, and I breathed in the fresh air and looked at the blue skies and the wind, going through the trees, and just tried to breathe in some life, and it really, really does help. So does more frequent showering. I took a lot of hot showers because I just felt so bad that a shower felt good physically to me. So I did those kind of little things, I watched comedies, because you have to laugh, because laughter is a good medicine for our bodies. Just to get a chuckle going, I could feel my body mending with every chuckle. And the belly rolls, or the belly laughs, not the belly rolls, the belly laughs. Those are like a little shot in the arm. So, spend your time trying to bring back into yourself some of the positive energy, because there is a difference between dark and light energy, and light energy is God's energy, and it's healing. I also had the guilty pleasure of watching near-death experience videos on YouTube. Now, I have to say I didn't go for the kooky ones. I just tried to stick with the people that were in the hospital, and they were bam and out of there and then back into their bodies. But I was trying to imagine what my husband went through. I know a little bit, but this really helped. It gave me comfort to know that just on the other side of this, all things are made clear. It's those first moments that they pass over, that in of themselves are heaven. So that's what this really helped me to do. And I say, do whatever you feel is going to help you. And this helped. I wanted to know he was going to really be doing well, and that I would see him soon. And I will. So I did kind of want to go more than stay here for a while, but it wasn't a bad thing. I didn't have any thoughts of ending it or anything like that. But I was like, hey, okay, so when it's let me get everything done that I need to get done, and then when it's my time, I want out of here. Because now I kind of got a feeling of what's coming, and I'm looking forward to it. I feel differently now. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of eternity right here by hanging around and actually finding joy in life while in the flesh. Another thing I did was I joined a Christian widows group on Facebook. And that was probably one of the things that got me through those alone evenings. There were no more phone calls to make. There was nothing on the television to distract you. People are just kind of settling in, and you're the last thing on their mind. They're just getting ready to go to bed and go to sleep. And here you are with this reality. And so I would get on Facebook and I would get on those widows groups and I would read the posts. And I was thanking God that things weren't worse for me in some cases. In other cases, I knew what they were going through. It was just their first days, and I had been in it for 3 or 4 months, and I said, hey, hang in there. And it felt so much better for me to be able to offer something. And I learned a lot too. And these folks are great. So I highly recommend that you get involved in something like that if you feel like you need some answers. I thought it was the worst thing in the world that nobody would understand, but you know what? These women understand, and these men, they understand. Woof! It's a club I didn't want to join, but I'm glad it's out there. So take advantage of it. Or, there are also some of these groups that you can go to locally. And if that makes things feel a little better, then, then go that route. I didn't want to go face to face with anybody at the time. I just needed some perspective. And the Facebook group helped with that. So that being said, I just kept on talking to God. I just kept the conversation up, even if I was hollering at him. Or asking him, what the heck? Or even saying, I'm getting kind of scared here. Things are weird and different, and I've never been in such a dark place. Please hang on to me. And he did, of course. But just keep on talking to him, bring everything to him. And that's helped me through absolutely everything. They say that it never gets easier, but although I understand that sentiment, because I miss my husband and I didn't like the way he went, the bottom line is, if you're a Christian, then you'll see them again, and you know that we all have our time to cross over, and God's got a good plan. So it's a matter of finding peace in it and perspective. I can honestly say that my life now is different than it's ever been in my life, and it's in so many ways better, and I'm so much better prepared for the future, probably because it's in His hands, so I'm not fussing over it. I'm taking it one day at a time and casting my cares as I do.